Right, good day. I want to address this Good for Oil publication in the news article released by the Chamber for Oil Marketing Companies, and the CEO for that association or that chamber is Riverson Opon. He did the first write up on Gold for Oil, and I think the immediate past MD, Edwin Provençal, came to clarify. And the Chamber for Oil Marketing Company, led by Riverson, has issued another publication basically putting out a lot of untruth. I want to take this opportunity to clear some of these untruths that he put up in his publication. Look, me, Kojopoku, initially when Gold for Oil came out, I was a skeptic. My institute, which is the Institute for Energy Policies and Research, were one of the few organizations that were against the Gold for Oil in principle because of how it was introduced. And as an industry player, we felt that there hasn't been a lot of consultation and a lot of stakeholders engagement for that. Look, as far back as February 2023, this is a letter I got from BOST, and I wrote to them under the Request for Information Act. Okay, we wrote to the Bank of Ghana and wrote to BOST under the Request for Information. And when I wrote to BOST, I had a lot of questions that I wanted to ask. I needed to understand the policy. So Bank of Ghana replied and BOST replied. And in this BOST letter, which is dated February 2023, as you can see, 10th February, BOST basically gave us the document, which is how the Gold for Oil policy is being rolled out and how we needed to get the information we needed. It also goes on to show us the value chain and then the cycle in which it works. After this document, we engaged BOST and we understood and were able to make a lot of input into this Gold for Oil policy, and became what for me today is the alternative forex policy. Bank of Ghana, through the acquisition of gold, and look, this policy is the brainchild of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and we all know that. Now politics has changed. The new government is in. The NDC government is saying all sorts of things about we will review Gold for Oil, we'll review this. It doesn't matter what review you do. The fundamental policy of using gold in place of dollar is here to stay. Now, let me take my time to address some of the untruths that Riverson puts out in his document. One, BOST never traded oil. Under the Gold for Oil policy, BOST never traded. BOST only earned a commission. They never traded. And these documents are there in Bank of Ghana, these documents are there at MPA, and these documents are there at BOST. Anybody can check. BOST never traded the products. They only earned a commission. So now, the way the system worked was that money was never given to BOST to go and buy. There was a committee which initially sat at the Ministry of Energy and later was moved to MPA. That committee is the one that was responsible for the purchases of the products, and the committee included people from Bank of Ghana, because initially the money that was the cedis that was given to PMMC to buy the gold was Bank of Ghana's money. No money was ever given to BOST. Bank of Ghana gives cedis to PMMC. PMMC buys the gold. They give the gold to Bank of Ghana. Now, yes, BOST were the ones that were basically with the Ministry of Energy engaged the oil trading companies that will sell the products to the program. The money would be given to the company that sold the products. BOST's role was to basically house, they have the storage, so they would keep the products, and the BDCs that wanted to buy will lift it from BOST and will pay the money into a CBG account. When the money is mopped up, it's Bank of Ghana's money. So Bank of Ghana will use that money to now buy a next set of gold and basically whoever now supplies the product is giving the gold. Initially, there were no companies that would take gold directly. So they were using a brokerage firm who will now sell the gold, and the proceeds were used to basically give into the company that supplies the product. Again, no money was ever given to Bost. So when you say that there should be a lot of auditing and all these things at Bost, when the last management led by Professor under the NPP government, Bost left a profit, a huge profit. So when you say go and audit them, is there something that went wrong that you went to go and audit? You say there was no transparency. If you want transparency, Riverson, I wanted transparency. I wrote and I got a reply. I don't blame you, because as somebody who had just taken over the Chamber of Oil Marketing, you should have basically asked some of us or asked the industry players to explain this policy to you. This write-up that you did, saying that 30% and the 70% who controls the market. Let me take a minute to explain. There has always been the monopoly by the international oil marketing companies. They were the only ones that bring products into the market. So they dictated what premium they charge. Because the internal Ghanaian companies couldn't negotiate better, because if you don't buy from Vitol, you have to buy from Trafigura. You don't buy from Trafigura, you have to buy from BP. These three international companies basically were the ones controlling our market. Now, when Bost started bringing in the gold for oil products, they were bringing products in $70 to $80 cheaper than what the international oil companies like Trafigura, Vitol, and BP were selling to us. Guess what happened? Vitol and Trafigura and all these other companies reduced their margins, their premium on the product they sell to Ghana to compete with gold for oil. And that is why we say that gold for oil helped stabilize and reduce prices in the market, because there was a 30% market share being controlled by Bost and the products were cheaper. The other importers had to compete, so they have to now reduce. So it tells you that all along, without gold for oil, if products were coming in $70, $80 more per metric ton more expensive, and it could have been cheaper. But there was no other competition. So gold for oil brought in the competition that was needed. Though they only controlled 30% of the market share, they were able to now drive down the supplier's premium, which was being now dictated by the international oil companies. Secondly, how can you say that gold for oil has not stabilized petroleum prices? The main factor for petroleum prices to go up is the FX. Today, in 2022, there was a week where the FX went from, on Sunday to Friday, it had gone from 10 cedis to 16 cedis. And as a result, the pump price went as far up as 24 Ghana cedis per liter. When the dollar receded back to $15 per metric, $15 to the 15 cedis to the dollar, we now realize that the petroleum prices at the pump also came down. Now, by January 2023, when gold for oil first received their cargo, prices were coming down. But the good thing about gold for oil, which some of us have come to support, is that that policy today is not only being used for oil products. When Bost were the only ones being allowed to bring in products, last year, October, all the bulk distribution companies, the Chamber of Bulk Distribution Companies, led its members to be part of the program. So today, all bulk distribution companies that are bringing in products into the country can use the gold for oil process to basically pay for their import. So today, if you're a BDC and you bring in petrol or diesel, you can apply to Bank of Ghana to basically give them your cedis, and they will use the gold to settle your import. Not only oil products, there are multinationals that have been paid in the last year by gold. So this alternative gold payment policy has come to stay. So when I see someone like Riverson putting out such statements, my question is, why? Is it that you don't understand? And when Provençal came out to give you the right documentation, you've come back out of another article basically spewing lies, that things that are not true. How can you purport to know more than Provençal, who was the managing director of Bost? Somebody who led Bost from a non-profit making institution to a profit-making institution. And today you want to now make it look like what? Provençal sat there and you are calling for audit and transparency? Go ahead. I mean, there's a new managing director at Bost. Let him give you all the documents and see if anything untoward went on at Bost. Bost now has a huge and a healthy bank balance, which they've never had in the last 6-7 years. So what is the agenda, Riverson? Because my thinking is that if you don't understand something, you ask. When somebody comes out to explain to you, you don't come back out to put out the document that you just put out there. So for me, I'm thinking, look, I can't put it down as you don't understand, because we try to explain to you and you don't want to listen. You are trying to basically come back with documents and basically explanation that doesn't add up. Is it that there's a change of government and you want to now basically be seen as the guy who is bashing gold for oil so that the NDC will see you as their one of them? That is not how policy is dictated. Please, Riverson, if you don't understand what has transpired in this industry in the last 2 years, please consult some of us. Consult people who have been there. And we have written and gotten the explanations. I wrote to Bank of Ghana and they wrote back to me. So we know the process. If you think something untoward has happened, go to Bank of Ghana. It's their money. Have Bank of Ghana told you their money is missing? I don't get it. Okay, so please, let all ignore this publication from the chamber, and gold for oil, or the alternative forex policy, is here to stay. Is the brainchild of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and is the best novelty and the best idea that ever happened to Ghana since the slice of bread. Thank you.